Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Rising. Sagar, what are we doing today?
We have an amazing show for everybody today. We have Michael Tracy to talk a little bit about impeachment. Bernie Sanders has a new plan about money in politics. We're going to talk and break it down, compare it to Elizabeth Warren's. Got Charles Lehman of the Free Beacon talk about declining life expectancy in Missouri and across the United States, unfortunately. And then a little bit about the vape ban and why the Obama administration did not act when there was some evidence on it.
And also, we hit 100,000 subscribers.
That's right.
Thank you guys. We're so grateful. All that and more coming up today on Rising.
All right, Krystal, what's on your radar?
Well, the Sanders campaign finally managed to get the media's attention. Here's WAPO. Sanders' heart attack raises questions about his age, potential damage to campaign. In it, they write that health issues have dogged presidential candidates, but Sanders hasn't faced the same scrutiny, in part because he's struggling to gain momentum in the Democratic primary contest. They went on to quote Republican pollster Chris Wilson, saying Sanders doesn't have a, quote, strong path to the nomination. Give me a break, guys. Health issues have not dogged Sanders because he's had the most aggressive schedule of any candidate. Oh, and by the way, 1 million plus grassroots donors might have a different opinion than Chris Wilson, Republican pollster. It's just amazing to me that literally days after Sanders notched a field-beating fundraising number and recorded more individual donors than any candidate in American history, WAPO could write a news article claiming as definitive fact that he has no momentum. Hey, Glenn Kessler, how many Pinocchios for that one? I did not see one mainstream article about Sanders' record-beating coalition and what it means for presidential politics. No. What they really found newsworthy was the fact that they were made to wait until Sanders was released from the hospital before receiving all the details of his health status. Yes, they're outraged that they didn't get every tested result in real time, live stream maybe, like Beto's visit to the dentist. And why not, since that's a standard that literally no other candidate has been held to? I mean, when was Biden's last colonoscopy? I demand answers. But I digress. Here is the truth. Sanders' fundraising numbers and the sea change they represent in American politics are potentially transformational. That he raised $25 million from anywhere is impressive. That he raised it $18 a pop from overwhelmingly working-class supporters should make the ruling class quake in terror. Top profession teachers, top employers, Walmart, Amazon, Starbucks. Just think about that. The people who destroy their bodies to make sure you get your prime order next day, who put your Jessica Alba Honest Baby products on the shelf, who make your macchiato in the morning, are quietly funding a political revolution. Actually, they're not so quiet about it if you just bother to listen. But no, the people who run the show have been convinced by WAPO and the Times and MSNBC that Sanders is, quote, struggling to gain momentum. In spite of the fact that not only did Sanders outpace media darling Warren in total dollars and receive 500,000 more individual donations, but he also added more to his Q2 numbers than Warren did. That's right. In the quarter when Warren became the chosen one and the queen of the selfie line, Sanders not only eclipsed her in fundraising top lines, but also in fundraising momentum. He added 7.3 million to his Q2 totals. Warren added 5.4 million. Here's the other thing, though, for those who'd like everyone to just play nice and pretend Warren and Sanders are exactly the same long enough for her to go on and win the nomination. Sanders' working-class funders really underscore what is at stake in the battle between these two progressives. This is something the media really misses. Sanders, of the top three candidates, stands alone as the only candidate with a shot at fundamentally realigning the Democratic Party. Since the Clinton era, the Dems have become more and more a party of the professional classes. The mostly white upper-middle managerial class drives the agenda, and working-class people of color are kept in the fold because the other side is so blatantly racist. That's why unions have been sidelined and bad trade deals have been championed, and Donald Trump's uncouth behavior seems to be of the utmost concern. If you're a progressive who's comfortable with the Democratic Party becoming a party of the professional class plus the working class minorities who are disgusted by the racism of the right, then Warren's a great choice. In fact, judging by the amount of contempt that I see for the white working class in my feeds, I think the fact that her candidacy would essentially preclude reuniting a multiracial working class coalition is an affirmative benefit for quite a few people. But if you want to see a realignment of the Democratic Party, putting it back on a trajectory where it could compete in rural America, where it could begin to rebuild ties with the white working class and offer something other than "we're not blatantly racist" to working class people of color, Sanders is your guy. I'm not saying the working class will never support Warren, but they're clearly not her core constituency. The strength and the composition of Sanders' grassroots coalition tells the tale, and it's also why I believe Sanders is the most electable of the top three contenders. Not only do his progressive values excite the type of voters who stayed home in 2016, something Biden lacks, but he's also the best candidate to flip back Obama-Trump voters, something Warren very much lacks. Plus, he's got Susan Sarandon, and as we know, she's an all-powerful goddess who will determine the results of the next election, end of story. Look, I get why there's a desire for everyone to just get along, especially within the progressive wing of the party. We're all traumatized by Trump and terrified of giving him any kind of weapon to use in the general election. But failing to fully test our candidates now and have a debate about the future of the party is a disservice to the party and, most importantly, to the nation. There's a tremendous amount at stake. Will the Democrats be a party centered around the creative class of special flowers used to having their every whim catered to? Or will they be a party centered around a unified, multiracial working class who are currently getting screwed day in and day out? Whatever plans you have on your website means so much less than the answer to that question. Sagar, it is amazing to me how little coverage this coalition gets.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. And I cannot believe that they wrote that, because it's like you said, the fundamental strength in Bernie's numbers, I mean, regardless of how the polling is going, shows a person who is going to literally be there until the very end.
Right.
And they're saying, oh, he's like losing traction. He's losing all this.
Politico, a candidate in decline. Yeah.
It's called wish casting. That's what it is. It's literally like they are wish casting what they want onto the primary and misreading so much of what the actual story there is.
So true.
And look, we've talked about this before. The real thing is that they like Warren because they get it. That's who they actually want to back. They're like, oh, you know, they're so much of their performative liberalism is really just built around justifying their class status and their way of life. And Warren is somebody who might correct it, but also agrees with them on all these social justice issues.
Yeah.
And that's what her whole thing is really about. It's not actually about really breaking up and destroying the system.
They're good with the Democratic Party being a party of the professional classes. A lot of people are. That's fine. But that's really the difference here that we're talking about and why it matters and why we talk about what the difference between Sanders and Warren really are.